Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Please subscribe my channel. The silence that fell over OmniNet Global after the Stellar Media Trust acquisition was not peaceful. It was oppressive. It was the sound of billions of credits being guarded by absolute obedience. Elora Vance spoke only approved lines on Morning Sphere. Historian Zelos was still suspended, obsessively tracking the public statements he was no longer allowed to make. And Serafina Lux, the data analyst, spent her days manufacturing the serene, stable aura flow metrics Overseer Kresh demanded. But silence, Dax Rourke knew, was also the most effective camouflage. Dax, the lead engineer forced to praise the time-tested stability of the Iron Protocol, worked in the OmniNet labs, the only place where true chaos was still possible. His creation, the Cognitive Empathy Engine, CEE, was officially neutered, its flexible architecture replaced by rigid, Stellar Trust-mandated security protocols. But Dax had built-in redundancies, emergency layers designed for disaster recovery. He now saw these as potential channels for something far more critical than a system crash, a communication breach. The problem was reach. Every data packet, every neural ping was logged and cross-referenced against the Iron Protocol's integrity standards. He needed a beacon and a shield. The shield came from an unlikely source, Serafina Lux. While generating the false metrics for the Sentinel, Serafina noticed tiny, non-standard fluctuations in the system's ambient noise. It was traffic, but so subtle, so perfectly camouflaged in the background radiation of the network, that only an analyst forced to manufacture synthetic stability would see the pattern in the noise. She recognized Dax's signature, the unique digital fingerprint of the CEE's emergency layer. Serafina didn't flag the activity. Instead, using her deep access to the aura flow algorithm, she began feeding the system a precise stream of manufactured, innocuous data spikes, synthetic noise, intended to mask Dax's activity. Every time Dax pinged the network, Serafina's calibration data would spike simultaneously, drowning the real traffic in fabricated compliance. With Serafina effectively running digital interference, Dax could move. He repurposed its forgotten diagnostic tool within the CEE's emergency layer, turning it into a peer-to-peer encryption shell. He needed to connect the others, Ilara, Zelos, and Lyra, but he couldn't send a direct invitation. He reached out to the most visible asset, the one who could transmit a signal in plain sight, Lyra. He found an obscure 3-cycle window in her broadcast schedule when her biorhythm scanner was momentarily overridden by a scheduled network diagnostic sequence. During that window, he pushed a tiny encrypted access key to her personal console, masked as a routine patch for the sub-aural hum. Lyra, still reeling from being forced to lie about achieving optimal equilibrium, saw the patch file appear. It was unsigned, unofficial, and completely outside the Iron Protocol. Beneath the patch log was a single cryptic instruction: signal received. The next day, Lyra sat in the studio preparing to deliver the closing remarks for the Nexus heartbeat. As she delivered the approved closing statement, "My biorhythm is fully optimized. I have achieved optimal equilibrium," she performed a small, deliberate action. She momentarily shaded the small antique glass artifact she kept on her desk, letting the studio light refract off of it in a specific, predetermined flicker. It was a signal no corporate auditor would ever catch, but it was understood. In his suspension, Zelos, the historian, caught the flicker and recognized the antique geometry from a banned text. In her penthouse, Ilara saw the unusual light refraction and knew it was the cue they had discussed hypothetically weeks ago. The signal confirmed the network was alive. The team of the silenced, the star anchor, the data analyst, The historian and the engineer were now connected, not by a corporate platform, but by a quiet network built on technical defiance and shared disillusionment. The true battle against the Iron Protocol was about to begin, not in a defiant post, but in the shielded tunnels of the data stream.